I'm here in the heart of Haymarket, like 900 feet away from the basketball arena. I have been told Leadbelly is the place to go, that they have multiple excellent burgers. Let's go find out. Center table, no big deal. No big deal. I think that's Will Compton. That's a former black shirt. Sorry to interrupt. Will Compton?
Yes.
Mike Hall, man. I'm good. How are you?
You got Big Ten now, one?
That's right. Leadbelly's is where I was told I gotta go for a burger. Is that true?
Yes. They have the best burgers in Lincoln. The Raspberry Beret is a staple.
That's what I've been told to do.
Yes. You need to get the Raspberry Beret.
I'll tell you what I want.
Yeah,
the Raspberry Beret. I was told it was good. I want it. I need it. I got it on good authority from a former black shirt that I need to do the Raspberry Beret. So that's what I ordered. Let's go see how it's made. So we're here in the kitchen. Explain to me what goes into a Raspberry Beret.
Jalapeno raspberry jelly, shredded romaine, sliced red onion, our jerk ginger peanut butter, candied bacon, your choice of burgers.
What's the inspiration behind the Raspberry Beret?
The Husker bar way back in the day that had a chippy burger, so we thought we'd try to recreate that.
So it wasn't just Prince?
No. Okay. But that is where the name came from.
Alrighty, there you go.
Thank you, Cam. Looks good. Raspberry Beret. Let's give it a whirl. That was really good. The Raspberry Beret at Leadbelly's was delicious. Will Compton, not just good at football, good at burger recommendations. I give it 4 Scott Frost heads. This is our first burger battle. We'll be doing that throughout the entire season. But we're back here in Lincoln, and we are with legitimate Husker royalty. They've won Heisman trophies in this program, but they never did it before Johnny the Jet Rodgers did it in 1972. He is here with his Heisman trophy. This is, I've been around the Heisman Trophy before, but it is always cool to be around this thing.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, sure. Oh, yeah.
Ooh, okay.
What do you miss most about your playing days?
Well, I like getting hit in the head.
You like that?
No, actually, I just like the camaraderie. You know, being together with the guys. We have a focus on the same goals. We're in it for each other, and you just have a strong set of unity of people going in the right direction. We have the same thought. We want the same thing. And winning isn't really everything. Yeah. But here in Nebraska, we rate it right up there with oxygen. It's pretty darn important.
Can you believe it's been 50 years?
No, it went by pretty quick. It went by pretty quick. I tell you, we've had some good years, and I was just glad that we were able to bring it in 1970, our first national championship, and 70, the second one here. And then we got guys that came through in the 90s.
That's right.
So we have a pretty impressive program here at the University of Nebraska at Lincoln.
Johnny, in the year 2000, you were voted the Nebraska Football Player of the Century. My question is, who has been your favorite Husker to watch?
My favorite Husker to watch has to be Mike Rozier's and Eric Crouch.
Okay.
Yeah, my proteges. They're Heisman Trophy winners too.
I was going to say, I wonder what you guys all have in common, you know?
Oh, I'm their fans. We're fans. We have a mutual respect for each other and for our fans, and our fans come out for all of us.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Now, you can only pick one, all right?
Okay.
I'm going to give you 2 games. You can only pick one. Which do you prefer? 1971, game of the century. You had yourself a punt return to the house. Or 73 in the Orange Bowl when you took it to Notre Dame?
Well, I would have to think of 1971 was probably the biggest game we ever had. But we wanted Coach Devaney to go out in style. And beating Notre Dame in the Orange Bowl in his final game, I think that was pretty much the biggest game for our team overall and for our whole program. Because Coach Devaney was really, he was one of the greatest coaches that we've ever had. He pulled us all together. We were the first. You have to be, it's not easy being the first.
No.
And he had the same coaching staff that said, we kept all of our players together for those 4 years, and we're able to pull it together and take it to the house.
Love it.
Brock and I were talking last night at dinner. Isn't it insane in hindsight to think you guys went from Devaney to Osborne? That's incredible.
Well, we went from Devaney to Osborne because Devaney groomed Osborne.
Right.
Yeah. And he
was the offensive coordinator the last 3 years,
He was the
right?
offensive coordinator. He was first he started off as a receiver coach. Then he went on to the offensive coordinator, and then he moved right up to being the head coach and slid in as soon as Bob, the very same time that Bob went out, Tom came in. But he was ready. Man, you see he was ready. It took him a few years to get the national championship, but then he got 3 instead of 2.
Right. I assume you were able to watch last week's game in Ireland against Northwestern.
Yes, I did.
What was your take?
Well, I thought we played a very good game. I thought that we had some problems up front on the offensive line. Our defensive line really didn't hold, and we could make some better calls as we go along. We get a little bit more creative as we move forward. But I think we're just taking a step back to get a running start.
I love that. I love that. Last one for you.
Yeah.
What is one thing about Tom Osborne that maybe some of these Husker fans would be shocked to hear?
Well, I guess he's long-winded, not just in talking. He can run more stairs than I can.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah, Tom and I would run stairs after every practice all the time, and he could outdo me at that particular time in life until it got to the point where I actually took over. But I followed Tom not just on the field but off the field and conditioning. To really get to a really good program, you have to have all your players, including your main players, you have to be in world-class condition. You know, you have to work at it. You have no time. Whoever gets tired first loses. Yeah. You know, yeah. Like I said, winning is just about winning. How far do you want to take yourself to be the best? And if you want to be the best, you have to do things that other people aren't doing. You know, you have to take yourself to another limit. Nobody can push you or take you. You have to want to go. But when you have a group of guys that want to go together, it's on like buttered popcorn.
I tell you, running just for fun doesn't sound like fun to me.
Oh, it's not fun.
But we've got something we think will be fun. Before we let you go, we want to play a game called Name That Alum, right?
All right.
You're not the only famous person to come from Nebraska.
You're kidding.
No, there are others. So come on over here with me. We're going to have our fans be a part of this. Here, so stand right here. We're going to start on up. Our fans, number 1 on the right. Hold up your first sign. Who is this famous Nebraska alum?
Oh, I do know him. What's his name? Alvarez.
There you go.
That's right. Barry Alvarez went here in Nebraska before his legendary career
COVID would
in
do that to you.
Number 2.
Help him out.
Oh, Johnny Carson.
Oh, yeah, he doesn't need help. I love
from
it.
Nebraska.
Famous Tonight Show host. Number 3.
Buffett, my main man.
Warren Buffett.
Oh, that's your main man.
Oh, yeah.
So you got some money to spend for me then.
He's the richest man in the world, darn it.
And if he's your main man, that means you got some money for me. Okay,
I got good advice.
Number 4.
Scotty.
There you go. Scott Frost, the head coach,
That's
went
our
here,
head coach at university. He's going to take us to a winning. We'll go to a bowl game this year.
There you go. There you go.
Final one, number 5. Hold up the last sign. It's a tough one.
Oh, he's a basketball coach.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Rhymes with blue.
The blue. Okay, yeah, I know he's a basketball coach.
Tyronn Lue right there.
That's right, the Clippers head coach. Ladies and gentlemen, how about Johnny Rodgers?
All right.
Here's the Heisman pose. More from Lincoln in just a bit. Dave, let's head back to you. Back here in Lincoln, Nebraska, getting ready for game number 2 of the season for them. And Brock and I are happy to be joined by a multi-platinum recording artist, stand-up comedian, actor, voice of Mater in Cars, and a massive Husker fan. It's Larry the Cable Guy.
Hey, everybody, thank you. Get her done.
Larry, how long have you been a Husker fan?
Oh, my gosh, since I was probably 5 years old.
Okay, so 15 years ago.
15 years ago. Yeah, I just turned 20. I'll be 21 here next week. No, man. My earliest memories is the Nebraska Furniture Mart commercials in 1971. Nebraska is #1, and so is Nebraska Furniture Mart. You know, that whole deal.
It inspired the voice.
Yeah, Nebraska, my entire adult life, you know, we've, you know, I mean, look at us. What are we, the 5th winningest college football team of all time?
Pretty good.
Even after a bunch of down years?
Right.
That's a pretty good deal right there.
It's impressive.
But I am total Husker through and through. I lived in Florida for a long time, up in Sanford, Florida, and I had a basketball court. I lived in the woods. And so the flight path coming from Georgia down into Orlando, you had to fly over Lake Jessup and Sanford. And if you look down, right when you got to that lake, all you saw were these trees, and in the middle of it, a big red square with a big N in the middle of it. And every time you flew into Orlando, you'd see that. So
let me ask you, what will be the most shocking development today? What would be more shocking? The fact that if Nebraska were to lose, or the fact that you're wearing sleeves? What are we doing, Larry?
Well, I
Very
mean,
disappointed. Very disappointed.
don't be, because this is like I got to dress up for Husker games. Are you kidding me? This is my Sunday shirt right here. I'm not gonna. But the biggest developing moment that'll happen during this game is I am hopefully not going to eat an entire pack of Swiss rolls. That'll be the best thing.
I have no faith in you. I'm
Come
sorry.
on, really?
Speaking of Husker games, in the 80s, when you were a student here, where would you be getting ready for the game? What was your routine?
I'd get up in the morning, I'd eat a pack of Swiss rolls, and then I'd go sit in crappy seats. That was pretty much it.
Sounds good. Sounds
No,
like the life.
I never got to ever go to a game because I
Really?
lived 80 miles south here. I grew up on a pig farm in Pawnee City, Nebraska. Go Big Red. And hey, listen to that. That literally is 2/3 of the town. So if you want to go rob something, go down there now. Nobody's down there. But no, so I would always listen to the games, just go downtown. Everybody had the game on. So we never really made it up here a lot when I was a kid. So I never got to go to any games.
And
So,
here you are, wearing sleeves, about to eat some Swiss rolls.
Absolutely. So
Now, I mentioned you're the voice of Mater, and this is fun for anybody who's a fan of cars. You got a new show coming out next week on Disney+.
That's
It's called
right.
Cars on the Road. But it got us thinking, I assume Mater has to be a Nebraska fan, too.
absolutely. And you know what? That's right. This is a really cool thing. I like to golf. And for my birthday, the people that animate Mater, I got the only one in the world. They drew me a Cornhusker Mater.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I turned it into a head cub. And it is unbelievable. Somebody offered me $11,000 for that, and I didn't take it.
No,
so
you
there
don't.
you go.
Man of credibility. So here's what my thought is. We got the big screen right here.
All right.
I'd love to hear Mater call a classic Nebraska Ron Kellogg to Jordan Westerkamp Hail Mary. You ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, this is how Mater would sound as a sports play-by-play man.
Woo-hoo! All right, McQueen, here we go. That's Ron Kellogg. Dadgum. He's one of my all-time favorites. Boy, look at him throw it. Dadgum. It's up in there. What? Boy, I'm happier than the tornado in the trailer park. Look at that right there. McQueen, did you just see what happened? Dadgum. Now, a lot of people don't know it. Now, what's Ron Kellogg? He's the world's best backward runner. Look at that right there.
Mater's pretty good. I think he's taking Brandon Gaudin's job. If you had to guess how many Nebraska games you've been to in person in your life.
Oh, my gosh. Well, you know, I bought a sweet box way back in 2003, I think. So I've been to every single Nebraska home game since, I think, 2003.
Is that right?
Making up for all them years I didn't get to go. So, yeah, since 2003, I haven't missed one.
Unbelievable.
Well, part of the reason is because you live right up the road, and despite the fame, the fortune, the travel, Nebraska is your heart. What is it about this place? It's part of you.
I love Nebraska so much. I love the people so much. I grew up here. It's just, I mean, when you can't explain it. I mean, they know what I'm talking about. You go through an airport, you see somebody with a Nebraska shirt on, all of a sudden you feel good inside, and you can't explain what it is, but we're all family. And I love the state so much, I can live anywhere I wanted to.
Yeah.
And I want to live in this state right here. That's right.
Larry, before we let you
That's
go,
right. I love Go Big Red. That's right. Look at that.
I want to keep these positive vibes going. So before we go, I have a football here. I want to do this is for the children. It's for the kids. We have a target set up, just your standard ordinary target, and I just want to see how Larry the Cable Guy would do throwing against this generic target that we happen to have set up. So go ahead, Larry, whenever you're ready.
Absolutely. He's going out. See, since it's Nebraska,
Yep.
I would have to do one of the Nebraska plays where you come like this. Back in the day, you go like this, you fake it to that guy, you come this way, you fake the pitch, the quarterback goes this way. And he hits the tight end down the middle. The tight end down the middle.
Larry the Cable Guy. DiNardo loves it.
Get her done. Look at that.
Cars on the road on Disney Plus starting September 8th. Thank you so much, Larry. Back to you, Jer.
Sorry, DiNardo.
Coach, not many coaches have had the opportunity to coach at two great places like Notre Dame and Ohio State, but you have. And now we get to see them play today. From an Ohio State perspective, what are some of the most important things they have to do to win the game?
Notre Dame's going to roll out a first-time starting quarterback. Ohio State last year lost 2 games. In both those games, they gave up over 250 yards rushing. They have to stop the run. Notre Dame's going to come in 110,000 plus in that Ohio Stadium. They're going to take the ball out of that quarterback's hand, at least for the first part of that game. They're going to try to run the ball. They have a good offensive line, good backs, very talented team. If Ohio State has to clean up the run defense, it could be a long day. Okay, Jerry, let's take a look. This is an example of Ohio State getting out physical a little bit. And remember, that's going to happen. You're facing the Wolverines here. You're going to face Notre Dame. At times, mano-a-mano, you lose. But the number one reason when you see teams run the ball is they get out physical. So take a look here. You can just see the offensive line of the Wolverines does an excellent job. They're displacing the downs, which means number 6 and number 86 are getting moved out of their gaps. That's a very physical run by the Wolverines. All right, Jerry, continuing the why of when a team struggles stopping the run. Number 1 is the getting out physical, not necessarily in order, but the other one is missed tackles.
Right.
And here you can see Ohio State's very good in the gap control. They're not getting out physical.
Right.
You just miss a tackle. I used to say, and the stats show it, you keep it to under 10 single-digit missed tackles, you usually are playing great defense, you win the game. All right, now we're going to get a little deeper into the woods here and why sometimes you struggle stopping the run. And it all has to do with gap control, which we'll talk about here in a minute, but it gets so more complicated when you have pullers. The Wolverines run a counter play right here. Right. And as the Wolverines add people to a side, Ohio State has to match them. You see the guard pull and the tight end pull.
Right.
The defensive end, number 11 for Ohio State, has a choice. He can either box it or spill it. Box it means you turn it back inside. Right. Spill it is what he's doing here. He's bouncing it to the outside. The issue is Ohio State doesn't have anybody he's bouncing it to. And when you spill it, you have to spill it to someone.
Okay, first defensive meeting of the fall. You've got a bunch of young players, and you're going to introduce your defense. And one of the ways you're going to do that is you're going to define every gap to the defensive players.
Okay, Jerry, this is a 4-3 defense played by the Buckeyes here. You got both defensive ends are in the C gap. Okay. You got the left defensive tackle here is in the A gap. Right. The other defensive tackle is in the B gap. Linebackers fit off the down players. So this left backer, number 30, has the B gap. Right. The right backer's got to get over the top quickly and downhill to the A gap.
Sure.
So now you're controlled. The D gap areas are controlled by the secondary players usually. Okay? But let's go back to the responsibility. It's not just your gap. Athletes like what? Space. So don't give them space. I'm going to pause it here in a second. We're going to recheck the gaps right now. Boom. Wow. Okay. The left defensive end is too wide. He's expanded the B gap, which is what running backs want space. Right. The G, or the deep nose guard, was responsible for the A gap. He is now out of the A gap. And this puts this linebacker in a very tough bind. You put yourself there. That's a mismatch. Okay, in the perfect world to stop or play great run defense, this is exactly where any of the players need to be. Number 30 needs to be in the B gap. Right. He needs to be on the left shoulder of the offensive lineman. Got it. The nose guard here needs to be where? In his A gap. Right. A gap's now gone, and the defensive end just squeezes a little bit. Once again, running backs like space. Give them no space. Condense the defense.
Coach, it's been a while. Let's go to the board.
All right, this is the exact formation that you saw the Wolverines run in the video a minute ago, and Ohio State was lined up in a 4-3 defense. How do you stop the run? Number 1, don't get overpowered. Ohio State rarely gets overpowered. However, gap control, as you can see right here, is the second most common reason when you see defenses give up big plays or in the run game. At the end of the day, the defense is set up that the G, or the defensive tackle, has the A gap.
Right.
The defensive end has the C gap.
Right.
And the linebacker has the B gap.
Got it.
Secondary players take care of the D gap. Backside, Will has the A gap. 3 technique has a B gap and C gap. So if everybody maintains their gap, but I want to take it a little bit further. You need to condense a gap. Why? Because athletes want space. Right. They want to run the ball in space. The defensive job is to condense the space and make it easy, make the linebacker's job easier. How do you do that? Hold your gap integrity, squeeze the gaps, and there's nowhere to run. The defensive end does not condense the B gap.
Right.
He gets knocked out, displaced. The offensive tackle for the Wolverines did a heck of a job. The center actually reaches and takes over the defensive tackle. Now there is no longer an A-gap player. So the end's wide, the tackle's reached, there's no A-gap player, and the linebacker now is face-to-face with a 320-pound guard, and it's too much space. And you can see he tries to go over the top of it. That creates a seam for the Wolverine tailback, and he takes it to the house.
Second off, when Ty was a senior in high school, they had their senior pranks, and he decided it should be bring your pet to school day. So he brought Calvin onto his high school campus. He said he made it about 100 yards until the principal came running out of the building saying, "Get that bleeping camel out of here!" Anyways, we make the smoothest transition in television history by saying, Dave, back to you guys in the studio.
Oh, thanks, Mike. What high school doesn't have a strict no camel policy? We are counting down to Maryland and Buffalo. Jaysean Jones back from injury, part of that loaded wide receiver crew for Mike Locksley, who chatted earlier with Megan McEwen.
Coach, you've preached the importance of finding balance between the pass and the run game. How do you establish that early in this matchup?
You know, I think it's how Dan opens up in his openers. You know, we've talked about establishing the run since spring, and it's something for us to take the next step in the Big Ten. We got to be able to have that type of balance, and you know, the offensive line been our most improved unit. We want to lean on those big guys early in a game like this.
You've said the offensive line is your most improved unit. What makes them so special this season?
I think the biggest thing is the experience they've gained and the way they finished off last season. You know, anytime you've got basically 5 returning starters that have played together for 3 years, the alignment, the chemistry that they have with each other and understanding where each other's going to be, that's the important part of being able to play together as a unit.
Looking forward to it, Coach. Thank you so much. We'll send it back to you in the studio, Dave.
Megan, thanks. Fresh off their first winning season since 2014. What are you focused on with the Terps today?
It is that offense. I know Mike Locksley was talking about the balance, but I want to see that passing offense. I mean, they were top 15 in the country in passing efficiency. He's got his receivers back. They're healthy. King Jarrett's one of the most explosive players in the conference, so I'm excited to see him and Dante Demas and just really see Talia with these weapons around him in this passing game.
You know, Nicole, there's been a bunch of big-time hires in the Big Ten this year. Brian Williams is now the defensive coordinator for Mike Locksley. Took over last year with the last 2 games, Howard. They won both games. We watched them work when we were at camp. It completes their program. Yeah. They got an offense. They can recruit like heck. They need a better defense, and it's up to Brian Williams to make them better.
They've started to change those bodies up front in the defensive line, which is going to really help them, particularly in the East when people want to run the ball against them. But I like where they are defensively. They continue to get better. I really love the secondary, nice, long, going to be able to compete with a lot of teams' receiving core going against their own. They're not going to see a lot of groups that are better. So I like where this defense is, and I like where they're heading.
Got to force some turnovers. Had just 4 in the last 9 games last year. And again, in conference play, nearly 39 points per game allowed. We'll see whether or not they're able to start flipping that script on the defensive end today against Buffalo. Also coming up at noon Eastern time, Jack Campbell led the nation in tackles last year. The Big Ten preseason Defensive Player of the Year, getting set to lead the Hawkeyes against the Jackrabbits. 14 and a half minutes away on FS1. As we continue on the Big Ten Network.
Big Ten Tailgate is brought to you by TIAA, dedicated to equality in retirement.